For the past 2 years, my bedroom has been a hospital room. No doctors, no sterile hallways, no nurses stationed down the hall. Just me, my machines, and the constant hum of a ventilator keeping me alive. I have a feeding pump, monitors, and a backup battery that gives us roughly 8 hours if the power ever cuts out. We've used it during storms. We've used it during outages. Every time it bought us exactly the window we needed. Nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared us for Karen. She moved into our neighborhood about 6 months ago. Within weeks, she ran for HOA president. Within days of winning, something shifted in her. She started measuring grass heights with an actual ruler. She wrote up families for having lawn gnomes. She sent out newsletters that read like royal decrees. Karen didn't move into a neighborhood. She decided to own one. From day one, my family made sure the entire HOA board knew about my condition. We handed over medical documentation. My home nurse, Sarah, sat down with them personally and explained in plain terms why continuous, uninterrupted power wasn't a preference for us. It was the difference between life and death. Everyone nodded. Everyone said they understood. Turns out they didn't. It started small. My dad spent an afternoon doing yard work and left the lawn mower at the edge of our driveway, planning to put it away after a quick shower. 20 minutes. That's all it was. Karen showed up at our front door before he even turned the water off, clipboard in hand, smile sharp enough to cut glass. "This is a violation of aesthetic standards," she told my mom. "This is your second warning this month." The first warning, our trash bins had been visible from the street for 1 extra hour. My mom apologized and closed the door. She and my dad shared that look. The one that says, "Just let it go, don't make it worse." They chalked it up to a power trip and moved on. That was a mistake. The next morning, a formal violation notice arrived, with a fine. The reason: unapproved exterior modifications. We had no idea what that meant. We hadn't changed a single thing on the outside of our house. My dad called Karen to ask what was going on. She told him, calmly and without any hesitation, that the small medical alert sign near our front door, the one we put there specifically so paramedics could identify our home in an emergency, was considered an unauthorized sign under HOA guidelines. My dad tried to explain. He told her what the sign was for. He told her that without it, first responders might lose precious seconds in a real emergency. He told her as clearly as he could that this sign existed to protect my life. Karen's response: "All exterior signs require approval from the architectural committee. Fill out the request form and we'll review it." A life safety sign. And she wanted paperwork filed for it. Before I keep going, have you ever dealt with someone like this? Someone who weaponizes rules to make other people's lives harder? Drop a comment below because I want to hear it. And stay with me because this story gets a whole lot bigger. We started showing up to HOA meetings. We documented every notice, every fine, every interaction. We told ourselves the other board members would step in. That Karen was one bad apple, and things would sort themselves out. We even had a meeting scheduled for that Saturday where we planned to lay everything out and handle it the right way. We never made it to that meeting because the Friday before, Karen decided she was done with the slow game. I was resting in my room. Sarah was sitting nearby, keeping an eye on my vitals. My mom was in the kitchen. Everything was calm, routine, and then the ventilator stopped humming. The room went dead quiet for 1 single second, then every alarm in the house went off at once. The backup battery kicked in automatically, which added its own alert to the noise. Sarah ran straight for the main panel. My mom came rushing into my room, her face completely drained of color. "The main breaker's off," Sarah said, her voice controlled but urgent. "Not just our circuit, the main line into the house." My dad sprinted outside to the utility box on the side of our property. And there she was, Karen, standing next to the open utility box, lock in hand, a satisfied smile on her face like she'd just won something. My dad's voice came out low and shaking. "What did you do?" Karen didn't even blink. "Your account has an unpaid balance of $150 in outstanding fines. Under our HOA bylaws, we're authorized to suspend services for accounts that are past due, and that includes access to community utilities." My dad stared at her. "Community utilities. Karen, this is the main power line from the city. You don't have any authority over this. The bylaws are very clear on this," she said, and clicked the lock shut. My dad took a breath and tried one more time. "My son is on a ventilator. Do you understand what you're doing right now?" Karen looked at him, shrugged, and said, "That's really not something the HOA can be responsible for. Maybe next time, think about that before the fines pile up." Then she turned and walked back toward her house like nothing had happened. Sarah had already dialed 911 and the power company. Paramedics were en route. The utility company said they were sending a crew, but it could be up to an hour. Our backup battery had 7 hours of charge left. Technically, we had time. But the atmosphere inside that house was something I can't fully describe. Every alarm, every beep felt like it was counting down to something. Nobody was calm. My dad wasn't about to just sit and wait. He called in a favor from an old friend who runs a large-scale event production company, explained the situation in under 2 minutes. 10 minutes later, his friend called back. Help is on the way. 45 minutes after that, something turned onto our street that stopped everyone cold. It wasn't a utility van. It wasn't a portable generator on a trailer. It was a full-sized semi-truck hauling an industrial generator, the kind built to power entire outdoor music festivals. The diesel engine rattled windows up and down the block as it backed into our driveway. The truck was so wide it swallowed nearly the whole street. Karen was outside before it even finished parking. You cannot bring a commercial vehicle into a residential area. That is a clear violation. I am calling the police this instant. 2 technicians were already out of the cab, pulling thick power cables toward our house. My dad walked over to Karen without raising his voice. "That's our new power supply," he said. "Since our original one got cut." Karen's mouth opened, then closed. Her eyes darted between my dad and the truck. "The noise, the exhaust, this is absolutely against regulations. Go ahead and call the police," my dad said quietly. "When they get here, you can explain to them why you shut off power to a home with a ventilator-dependent patient. Actually, don't bother. They're already coming." 2 police cruisers and a power company truck rolled onto the street less than a minute later, lights going. Neighbors who had been watching through windows were now standing on their lawns in the open. The street looked nothing like itself. The officers heard my dad out first. Then they let Karen speak: bylaws, delinquent accounts, HOA authority. One officer walked over to the utility box and turned to her. "Ma'am, did you put this lock on here?" Karen stood up straight. "Yes, the account was delinquent and under our bylaws. Ma'am, this is a public utility access point. Locking it is tampering with a public utility. That's a felony. And given that you knowingly cut power to a home with a medically dependent patient, we're also looking at reckless endangerment. I need you to come with me." The clipboard dropped to her side. The color left her face so fast it was like watching a light switch flip off. She was handcuffed on her own street, in front of her own neighbors, still mumbling something about the HOA handbook as the officer guided her to the cruiser. The power company tech cut the lock in about 10 seconds. Power came back on. The generator crew coiled up their cables and loaded out. The lead tech gave my dad a fist bump on his way to the truck. "Your friend said it was life or death. Glad we could be here." The truck pulled away and left behind a quiet that felt genuinely different from before. Cleaner somehow. The following morning, a written apology arrived from the HOA board. Karen had been removed as president. Every fine issued to our family was dismissed. A formal statement acknowledging what had happened was sent out to every household in the neighborhood. We never saw her again. Word got around that she put her house on the market quietly and was gone within weeks. Our street is back to normal, but people around here still bring up the day the festival generator showed up and what it stood for. Here's the thing about people like Karen. They don't stop because you play by the rules. They stop when you stop shrinking. My dad never yelled, never threatened, never lost his composure. He just refused to be powerless. And when someone tried to take away our power literally, he went and found a bigger one. Sometimes that's what standing up actually looks like. If you've ever had someone use a rule book as a weapon against you, tell me about it in the comments. I read every single one and I want to hear your story. And if this one hit home, subscribe and hit the bell. I post real stories like this every day. You don't want to miss what's next. See you in the next one.